Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of That Gonna Talk. And we're here to tell you so much big stuff to get into. Me and KP haven't done a stream, it feels like forever. But we know we do our weekly thing. People coming to you every Thursday around the same time, about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, around 10 p.m. UK time. So you look for us in this slot every single week, people. A lot to get into today. First of all, we're gonna touch on the Carabao Cup because me and KP haven't really sat down and chopped it up about the Carabao Cup on camera for you guys as well. So much to get into, so much news to get into. You have SD news, you have Odegaard news, you have solutions to figure out, and then we have a little game that we're gonna play at the end of it, people. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe all the time. First of all, KP, before we get into anything, how are you feeling, my bro?
I'm feeling good, bro. I'm feeling calm. Life, work, same note. But yeah, days after the final, you kind of allow yourself to kind of move on from it. I think luckily, as I was saying with Don yesterday, like we're in three other comps, so it kind of makes that final loss a bit less, uh, impactful. uh, Well, for now. So I think that the breaks just allow me to kind of decompress and then go again. What about you? How do you feel like days later after that final?
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. It took me a few days to really get over the loss because you said it on one of your streams with Dawn. It's not even about losing per se. It's more about how in the manner we lost, especially coming into that game. We talked about it with all the confidence. We were the informed team. They weren't. We were the team that should have wanted it more. Having this is our first final in years now, and we haven't won a cup. So the expectation was on us. And I feel like performance-wise, we didn't turn up. But we could talk about so many different things to start. Talk about the goalkeeper, which is what I do want to start with. But let me give my opinions on the goalkeeper before I let you go. Going into that game on Sunday, I would have I didn't mind if Kepa played. You know what I'm saying? Hindsight is always 2020. I wouldn't have mind if Kepa played. I wouldn't mind, like I said, I wouldn't mind Kepa playing. I wouldn't mind Raya playing. It didn't matter to me. I feel like because he made the mistake and he put that pressure on himself and he's put that spotlight on himself, I don't want it to shy away from the fact that honestly we're not good on the day. And I think Kepa has his part in terms of build up, in terms of where we weren't good. But overall, there was a lot of other things missing from that performance that didn't make us good on the day. So while Kepa was a big part of that, absolutely, I just think a lot of things on the day from our perspective did not go well, and we did not show up like we should have on the day. And obviously things did not go our way. So KP, tell me how first of all you feel, and then you can get into the goalkeeper situation.
Yeah, like I wanted Kepa to start, or thought Kepa would start. Obviously, probably would have wanted Raya to start, but I wasn't angry. Like Kepa's been playing all the cup games. He's not really put many foots wrong, if any. And yeah, I like Arsenal being a sentimental club. Like not having that. You want them to be ruthless, but we're not there yet to be ruthless. It kind of sounds like he made a mistake, and Raya could have made that same mistake, or Raya couldn't have made that same mistake. But the way that we were performing, we wasn't going to look like we were going to score. Like that game would have gone to penalties. Maybe that's our greatest chance because of how we were playing, which is, yeah, as you said, Kepa, with the amount of time he's taken on the ball and the kind of passes he's not making, maybe out to the fullbacks or players in the midfield. Yeah, we could blame on him, but also the lack of emphasis or onus on players coming to want to receive the ball, demanding it. After one or two of those kind of situations, the ball's out of play. You go to the keeper and say, "Nah, man. When you see me next, give me the ball here. Like I'm gonna stand here. Like trust me. Like if we're not that's so. If players weren't doing that, um, or if players were doing it, it was listening. There's a bigger problem. But I think the overall football in the day, um, even if Ryan started, probably might have still lost that game. We're just so poor.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you, Kate, because you said you like the fact that Arsenal are a sentimental club and we're not there yet to be ruthless. I feel like, or well, let me ask you first. Do you feel like the fact that we haven't won anything in such a long time, do you feel like that should also ultimately call for being ruthless in a game like that? Because Norgard didn't play. You played ultimately a Declan Rice. You played Saka. You played some of your strongest guys from the start. But the goalkeeper situation is a little bit different. What would you say like to that argument?
I don't have a problem with it, man. Like I'm not like everything is all. This is all hindsight. If Kepa didn't make a mistake, or if if Arsenal won, no one's saying this. No one was saying, like, people were saying, yeah, start Raya, but it wasn't like saying, oh, Kappa is bad and it's only because he made a mistake now he's bad and that. So I'm not really into it in that sense.
Hmm.
Kepa also had played every game. Yeah, the likes of Norgay, maybe some other players went in and out, but I'm pretty sure we started our strongest 11ish, against Chelsea that semi final. Kepa played both games. Um, like, it's just one of those situations. For me, it's
Yeah.
not really that deep. Probably against Southampton, I expect Kepa to play again. Like, and I'm not gonna be like, oh, why is
I
he
was I
playing?
was gonna I was gonna ask that if you
But,
would go with Kepa again against Southampton. So you're
but
saying
it's,
yes.
it's like basically saying if a striker must open goal, you're not gonna play him like Jesus because he like those are the games where you're gonna rotate the squad. Like at the end of the day, it
Mm,
might be his last ish game, unless we get semi final, maybe he plays again. But I'm not really, like fussed. Like I'm not really focused on Kepa. And at the end
okay.
of the day, like as I said, like because the first goal was a mistake, second goal can't really blame him. And yeah,
Yeah.
I
I think
put
this
more onus on
second, if you want to focus on the second goal quickly, I think the second goal is down to the fact that up until then we were running, we were trying to chase the ball for like 25 minutes straight. And I'm not even still talking about, yeah, they had the ball, but then maybe we had it one a foul. But nah, they had the ball in our half, making us chase it at Wembley for like 20 straight minutes. Like that's literally what happened. And you could tell we ran out of gas. That ball down the channel, Declan Rice, he normally gets sticks to his man. He would normally block the ball up for a cross or a corner or a throw. He couldn't get near the cross. Then ultimately, um, Nico O'Reilly, who I think Pep had a really good game from his perspective. You had Nico O'Reilly getting into very dangerous positions, and then you force you pin him back to pick up Nico O'Reilly on the back post. And Saka, again, his game was affected because he's doing right back work, and you really need him effective in certain areas further up the pitch, at least to take us further away from goal. So that's why I probably give him the second goal against Southampton.
Yeah, I think that I think he's right. It came down to tiredness, but I don't think it was solely. But I think if we don't concede the first goal, I don't think we concede the second goal. That's just my opinion. I think we probably keep our concentration. We've suffered in games in a similar sense. City wasn't creating wave after wave, chance after chance. Maybe they were kind of pinning us back territory wise, but ultimately, yeah, like a lot of a lot of the goals, or the two greatest chances was it came from, that period where they were dominating us. And what can Arsenal really do? I was like, I couldn't really do, but there was nothing much they can do. Once that mistake happens, it was like a bit of dejection. You know, your belief sinks a bit, and then City's belief increases. So that's just where it is. But as I said, like ultimately, Southampton game, I'll still be starting for Kepa. I'm going to be under the assumption that Steph will probably start Kepa too. Um, just because, yeah, like it's still a game, less opposition that you believe that he should be able to play, um, you know, his game. So, yeah, like, would
Yeah.
you start Kepa against Southampton or you're not starting him against Southampton?
The thing is, I would look to start Kepa against Southampton. However, I do think you're setting yourself up in a way that if that goes wrong, you could then say, okay, the evidence has been there. Already cost you against the cup final. He had some mistakes against, and not let alone from the goal. I thought Kepa's overall performance was he didn't give that backline any confidence. The first one where he came up for the ball, nearly pulled down a man, got sent off. That was almost a madness. He wasn't taking certain risks that you would normally get from Raya. But again, take opposition into account. You're not playing Man City again, you're playing Southampton. So that's what I'd probably give him the Southampton game. But barring
And I
that,
don't
I
and I
can't
don't
really
I
see
don't
him.
judge I don't judge players on one game, man. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I put if you have a secondary keeper, the same way City have Trafford, you're gonna expect your senior players to start every game to protect the keeper, to have a bit more onus, to demand the ball, Saliba Gabriel, demand the ball from him, to then make this just decisive passes if he's not making them. Like I
Mm,
think it's just easy to just be like, oh, the keepers, because Kepa could play against Southampton, we could lose, could be nothing to do. Kepa could be the way the
mm,
defenders play, the
100%.
strikers don't take chances. So I'm not buying into that stuff, man. Maybe yeah, if we get to FA Cup final or another final, cool. You would hope Mikel maybe learns from that, plays Raya. I'm not mad in that situation. But till then, this is probably like the one game Kepa's gonna play on unless we do win. So do you know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah.
it's a bit unfair because. we've seen every like I'm saying we've seen Gabriel make mistakes, we've seen Saliba make
100%.
mistakes. I mean, that it's not like they get dropped for it. Um, and he's a rotationary piece for a reason. Anyways, like
Yeah. Now I hear it. But again, like I said, I think the difference in that game specifically was at 0-0, Trafford made a great save for them. At 0-0, Kepa makes the mistake to open up the floodgates. Not the floodgates, but open up the scoring for Man City. So I think there are just moments in the game. And again, if we took our chance, we're sitting here maybe with a different story. Maybe if we take one of those chances, it's 1-0. Maybe we do see it all. Maybe the game goes
but
differently. So you
but
never
that's
know.
but that's why I'm not like critical of Kepa because
Mm,
we were under the cosh for majority of that game. Um,
mm,
obviously, yeah, we couldn't get close to City. City are excellent team, in terms of dominating possession. When those players get into a groove, one of the hardest teams, in terms of slowing down the game. But Trafford, if you were looking at that first 20 minutes, you would have expected Trafford to go through a lot more than what he went through. Of course, it was a good
100%.
save. Havertz should have taken it earlier. Maybe that it doesn't. It isn't a save. Um, but
Yeah, and the fact that you don't put a lot of the onus on Man City kind of saves Trafford from making any mistakes himself. So
do you know what I'm? Which
you don't really see Trafford making a mistake because the
which is
onus
what
is
I was
thrown
saying
on
about
us.
the whole. Obviously, you have obviously I know City had a changed defense, so but obviously you got likes of Ake in there, like senior player. Like obviously they defended well. The team that as a whole defended well, and that comes from just keeping the possession. But Arsenal didn't put it on Trafford to see if he has a mistake in him or he's a bit shaky or whatever. Because apart from that one save, he didn't really have to do anything from an Arsenal standpoint. Obviously, yeah, we had the post and the crossbar, which obviously he was beaten on both chances, which is interesting in that sense. But it's just one of them ones where it's one of the games I just
Mm,
want to put. I want to put the game behind us because we performed so badly. Like I lost could have, as I said to you, we could have lost that game, played well. I would have probably been more burning about it, like because I would have been like, oh,
mm,
like we actually deserve to win or something, but we deserve to lose. We got what we
mm.
deserve. So I think
I hear it, 100%.
the players on the pitch have influence. More influence in that result. Like, Kepa could have made a mistake and then we could have had a last 20, we still had 25, 30 minutes of the game left. We could have changed that game around and we could have been
Mm.
like, oh yeah, like, do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of, I want those players, and obviously Mikel's including that, to take responsibility for that day. So, like, that type of day doesn't happen again because
Yeah,
we could get to a Champions League final, we could get to FA Cup final and lose both, play very well. Like maybe yeah, there'll be some fans that will criticize, but I would be like, you know what, the other opponent's keeper or their centre back or our striker wasn't finishing today or whatever. But can't go there where I can't even be so mad at the attackers because like how many moments did they get like to really
I agree.
you know
But I do want to, and I do want to ask you more about that because I think one of the big reasons why we didn't create a lot is because when the lineup came out, we were hearing murmurs, especially in the group chats, about potentially no Timber, no Eze in the lineup, and I waited to give my remarks on that at the time because I was like, let's just see when the lineup comes out. But then when you see Hand of Arsenal post it, then when you see the actual lineup come out, it's like, ah, rah, no Eze. Then you're thinking, okay, no Eze for the cup final. All right, maybe it's a precaution. But nah, we hearing calf injury 1 and 4 to 6 weeks. Kippy, give me your thoughts about that specifically because, okay, it could be one thing, maybe you missing the Carabao Cup final, but potentially all the way up until the Newcastle game at the back end of next month, he'll be missing Southampton. He'll be missing both legs against Sporting. He'll be missing Bournemouth, City, and potentially just be back for Newcastle at home. That's a massive stretch of games. What are your thoughts about potentially not having an Eze, and what do we do moving forward? Because no, that's a serious position, especially for us this season.
yeah man, it's a big blow. Obviously hopefully it's 4 weeks, um like 4 weeks. But like, yeah, like he just kind of, the last some time we seen as a scoring one of the best goals of the season for us,
Hmm.
being very, very warm and kind of looking like he's coming into his own, into the team and settling and starting to look like the real Eze that we know. So that's a blow. See, this is the running time playoffs, as I call it, and we're losing, a big player like that. We don't have Odegaard. Like Odegaard, maybe he's back soon, but we don't know when he's back. So it's a big blow. And obviously, you just mentioned the games like the Sporting home and away leg, the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, City game in within that as well, and maybe potentially that Newcastle game at home. Maybe that's the game that he returns. So it's like it's a big blow, man. I feel sorry for him because I'm pretty sure like he's probably thinking like, "Oh, just getting into my own. And now, obviously, I'm getting a setback now. Obviously, England squad. Obviously, I'm saying he's not necessarily not confirmed to be there, but like, there's a lot of comp, and he's missing this camp and all these kind of things. But I'm just hoping that it's a speedy recovery. I think you were talking about it yesterday about, obviously, you got to be careful with these kind of calf injuries because they can lead to much worse if you're not managing them well. So maybe that's what Arsenal are being very, very precautionary. Obviously, a Carabao Cup semi-final, he would have been very, very useful. Would he have been the difference? Would Arsenal maybe have started playing football? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But it definitely would have been a difference. So it's a blow, but obviously Arsenal and Mikel got to make sure they find solutions. But how do you feel about Eze being injured?
I think you touched on something that you want to start on right there at the end. I think first of all, I think he might have made a massive difference because no looking at how that game played out. Obviously, you could use hindsight 2020, but I could just imagining maybe that takes the pressure off of a guy like Havertz. Because Havertz ended up doing two jobs at one point. Like he's trying to do hold up play. He's also still trying to do number 10 role. And again, nothing sticking up front. No one in the midfield is showing for it to get position and move up the field and allow certain guys to get into dangerous areas. Kai is not necessarily the best at doing it. Not saying he can't do it, but that's him receiving, him dropping deep, receiving the ball on the back foot, and then turning and driving us up the field or winning foes is not necessarily his game. When Saka moved into those positions, the ball wasn't coming to him. Again, he allowed him to be either marked out of games or allowed him to have to force him and pin him back defensively. So I think having another guy on there like Eze, who has the pace to go the other way, who has the ability to create stuff going the other way, just would have been a massive difference for us. So for me, yeah, I would have loved to see Eze in the team. Or like I said, you touched on Odegaard. I think that's another person who this season, I don't think he's had like the best of seasons. He's not pulling up 22, 23 form, but he still has given us, even in the little minutes, some of the best good football for a long time. I think he's like second in our team for Premier League assists, and he's only played like what 20 Premier League games. He's got the same amount of assists as Trossard, or tied the most for in the squad. So that's massive when you look at it, seeing the fact that everybody considers this to be a down season, especially himself dealing with injuries that coming in and out of the squad. I think he's had some good performances. And I do think you miss him now, especially hopefully we're getting him back, but you miss him in a game like a City game where you could just have someone to maybe drop deep, relieve the pressure. Maybe you keep Saka pinned forward a little bit more, allows you to go the other way. And maybe you make a difference in having maybe a different profile in a Martinelli on the pitch. So many different options, so many different ways of looking at it. I do think Eze would have potentially made a difference. But I want to talk about solutions because going forward, we're going to have to find a way to win without Eze. We touched on it slightly about Odegaard going forward, and I do think Odegaard has had some good moments. The Brighton game he played well, the Olympiacos game he played well, made a difference against Newcastle off the bench. We've seen it, Leeds off the bench, he got the assists. Bournemouth, he had a good pre-assist to Saka and the assist. I think he assisted one for Declan Rice's second goal. So Odegaard, he's had his little bit of moments here and there. And I think again, we just need moments. Our defense has been good. We have a world-class goalkeeper in net, and we just need moments players. And on Sunday, we didn't have our moments players. So we definitely need those back. Other than that, KP, we know Odegaard could play that position. What other solutions are you thinking about in the 10?
Outside of Odegaard, who we hope now, like he obviously the reports saying the Southampton game that he maybe is trying to make that game. Hopefully he can make that game. But even if he can't, yeah, obviously most naturally you would think obviously Saka in the 10 um, as an option. No matter where he comes in on the right, and then whatever you do on the left. Havertz could still be used there, but I think, as you said, like I think that's a circumstance and specific type of game, type of call rather
Yeah.
than like a ongoing, like starting, because after the outside the Southampton game, every other game we would say is you want to start your strongest or as strong as an 11 you can put out. So yeah, could you dibble and double Trossard and 10? I'm not really the greatest fan of it. But obviously, if Trossard is used there, then I'll probably prefer it to be Havertz in the 9 because I think they have a bit of chemistry, and they'll interchange a bit more than what Gokras and Havertz has. I don't want to see Gokras and Havertz start together. Um, Maybe they can be brought on, and that's gonna be like a solution. But I don't want to be like from the start. Diamond, I don't think he'll not in big games. I don't think I think he is a 10. I don't think he'll be used there. Um, That can be probably used more on the
Could play
right
against
wing.
Southampton.
But
Or
yeah,
try at least
yeah,
try
yeah,
to do
against
some form
Southampton,
of
yeah.
action
Like, but I
against
don't count
Southampton.
the Southampton game, even
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we see as like a what we would see going forward. Even if Mikel does try a little twitch, because probably might see a Lewis Skelly midfield or something like that. And I don't need I don't know, sorry, if Downer will be used in that position long term, in a big game. But maybe I see more Saka inside as more of the if Odegaard's not fit, I think that would be like a go to for Mikel. I think a big go to, and I think he probably needs a run of games in there if he wants to get more used to playing in that kind of freeish role and how to kind of play it. But it will be interesting to see if Saka's playing inside, Havertz strike, maybe a Madueke or even a Diamond on the right, and then whoever you want to put out the left, maybe Trossard, and see how that works, in terms of like a
Mm,
chemistry dynamic.
mm. Nah, I do agree. I just think one thing I want to see more from us, first of all, is fluidity. And first of all, yeah, big up AFC always, all the time. And big up Yokeres for his hat trick. We're gonna get into Yokeres, especially while we're on this topic about solutions. Big up Yokeres for his hat trick. Second goal was a really decent goal. Took on his man and took it really well.
I need to go check
Penalty
it
and a
out.
very poacher's goal. So scored a good goal. Took a penalty and a well poached goal for the first one. So big up Yokeres for his hat trick all the time. Ezio, now Ezio injured, played Doman in the 10 role. Why not? I call for Doman in the cup final until it went to two. Once it went to 2-0, I was kind of like, eh, he's probably the one with magic, but do you even just want to just throw him in at 2-0 and then just maybe ruin his confidence or just we're not even getting joy on the ball for him to have a platform to get into the game. You ask him to do defensive work. That's not his strong suit. Nah, nah. So, but going forward, AFC always, I'd probably think about Doman in the 10. And KP also mentioned it, probably not in the big games, but he might still be able to contribute and have a moment as we've seen against Everton. And you cannot rule a quality player like that out in any scenario. So for the big stages. But bigger AFC always for your comments all the time. Um, what I was gonna say, KP, I think our biggest thing is fluidity. I do, and I think I've been saying this for a while now. I just don't think we're fluid enough, and I think it started to get predictable and hurting our attackers in a sense. For example, Saka is a great player. I think we all know Saka's strengths and what Saka likes to do. And if you mark him out of the game, you can easily take away from Saka. You could easily take away Saka's game from him. That's just the type of player he is. Still a great player. However, you can mark him out the game with two, three guys and force him inside and then take the ball off him, even though he can go down the wing. It's gonna be difficult, but you can do it. We've seen it. I do think you need to find a way to get maybe, like you said, him in the 10. But even if he's playing in the 10, I don't just want to see him in the 10 only. If Saka's playing in the front in a midfield three or a three with him at 10, Noni on the right, and Trossard or Martinelli, whoever off the left, potentially Eze if he was fit, then I want to see them picking up different roles, especially even if you have the pay someone like Kai Havertz who could drop into 10. Maybe you have Martinelli sprinting on beyond. Maybe you have Saka picking up the left spaces. You have Martinelli on the right putting in crosses, using Madueke's pace. I think there's so many different options we have and different profiles we have, but our players just end up so static. I don't know if that's tactical. I don't know if that's player preferences that just make them play the way they are. I don't know what to put it down to, but I do think that's massively missing in our game, especially for the types of players we have, especially specifically Bukayo Saka. So those are just some of the solutions and some of the things I say. I personally don't see Trossard in the 10. I just think, especially with how we use our 10s, nah, Trossard dallies on the ball too long. And I love Trossard, but sometimes my thing for him, he just holds the ball too long, man. He could get into those certain positions. Sometimes he would turn back on it, reset the play. Sometimes when like a Eze, he would just get the ball forward. Odegaard would just play that pass in behind. And Charizard doesn't have that passing range like them two. And I just think you need that passing range, especially on the transition with the teams we're going to be going up against. It's just not what I want to see. So if you're going to play Saka there, at least you have someone who can carry the ball, beat one or two man, win a foul, move us up the pitch, and potentially use his pace in that way or use his abilities in that way. So yeah, that's how I'd probably go about solution in the 10. Any other thing you want to add to that, KP, before we get into AFC always second comment or third comment?
No. You said it perfectly, man. Like it's obviously if it will be difficult because you have to, Mikel will have to manage it. Obviously, depending on what's the maybe you will see some guy and then some different type of like formations. It's just about um, especially in games where we want to try and dominate the ball. I want to see a more predominant game. Maybe like do we see maybe Lewis Skelly even use the midfield maybe as a different
Mm,
kind of mix with Rice with Mendy maybe as the ball carrier. I don't think we'll see that, but like is that like an option that maybe Mikel could flirt around?
mm.
Maybe.
For me, I do think we're gonna the testament to see if we're gonna get Miles in midfield is when we come back from break at Southampton. Because he went to do it against who was that? Mans before in California, was it Mansfield? Or was
Wigan.
it was Wigan? Against Wigan, it was going to happen. But again, injuries prevented something that we've all been clamoring for time as Arsenal fans or for people that are aware of Lewis Kelly's ability in midfield. I think if we there's an opportunity now again to do that when we come back with it Southampton. I think it'd be I don't want to use words like foolish, but it'd be crazy not to try it. Especially when you're missing so many different guys in midfield or guys are coming back from injury. It's hard to really put your onus on Odegaard. And then what are you gonna do? Have Odegaard play all the games like what you just did with Eze, and then he is who has been suffering from injury, suffer another one, and then we're out both tens. Then you have to find another solution. I just think certain things are there staring you in the face, and I do think Muzzle Scully is one of those solutions that is staring you right in the face. And I would not be opposed to doing it. That goal against Atletico, how he was running from midfield and slipped in Martinelli. Why? Like we haven't seen that since. That's probably one of the only times we've seen one of those moments in the squad all season, regardless of who's playing. So I want to see more of that, and I do think we should see more of that. But Southampton is the big test. Before we get into your thoughts, KP, let me just do this. AFC always says Southampton next week for me. It will show how we respond from that cup final defeat. Start Raya and goal. I'm not putting all the blame on Kepa as the team. Apart from Saliba, we're awful. But he wants Kepa to start. I hear it, AFC always. We were talking about that just now. I do think you probably give Kepa the grace because I do think anyone could not anyone could have made that mistake, but Raya also has seen to make mistakes. But Raya is just that world class because he makes up for them every single game. But again, our performance, like you said, was not good enough. So I don't want to put all the blame and onus on Kepa, but I do think you reward him because that's probably the last game he's probably going to play all season. So give him the Southampton game because I don't see him playing Champions League. He's not playing league unless we mathematically win the league, and you just want to give him games just so he can get a medal as well. And then what? He's probably not going to play FA Cup semi final and final. We'll probably bring in Raya for those two if we win it. So, yeah, so I think it was probably one of his last games of the season. You give him it, you should be beating Southampton anyway. And I do think Man City was a big part as to why Kepa's weaknesses were exposed like that. So, again, as much as we want to criticize the boys, Man City on the day were quality, and you have to give that to them. They're a wounded animal and they can hurt you. Floydberry says big up. Big up Floydberry already
That
time. You already
library.
know, bro.
Big up library, and yeah, like if he's whoever he starts, I'm not different, but like yeah, I would be more. I would try and yeah give Kepa that one chance. Obviously, and a moment to rectify himself as well. Hopefully, he's not costly. But yeah, we just need a win against Southampton. Obviously, I think it's luckily that kind of a bit of a blessing that we don't have to go straight into Premier League. You know, first
100%.
two games are in two other comps. Obviously, I guess there's more jeopardy, but kind of get back and then you kind of get yourselves back into the swing of things, and then you get Bournemouth, and maybe you're off the back of two wins, and then you can kind of go into it again. So
Yeah. And I do think even though you said that, I think it's also still good that we get those types of games, those we get those cup games because even though the opposition might be Sporting and Southampton, no disrespect to them, but there's still, like you said, that jeopardy there that you have to win that game or you're not going through. So it's still a level of focusness and intent that needs to be there. However, if you're still managing certain guys like an Odegaard, maybe you give him a certain minutes instead of having to play him from the start if if he's not fully ready to the Leonard and level that you need him to be at. But Kip, I do want to ask you about those games. Like I said, Southampton away, Sporting away, Bournemouth at home, Sporting at home, then City away before Newcastle at home. Those are massive games coming up for potentially our season. At the end of that run, we could probably find out if we won the league or not, basically, especially if the results go our way. We'll probably see who's our opponent in the FA Cup semi-final. Are gearing up for that game as well. And then we probably find out who's our with whether it's Barcelona or Atletico to play in that Champions League semi-final. So Those are massive games, KP. What are your expectations coming
We're
out
winning
of
every
those
game.
results? Winning every game.
Yeah.
Even with the solutions we
We're
named,
winning
that
every
doesn't fear
game.
you.
We're winning every game.
Okay.
We've had injuries all season, man. Like
Okay. I hear that.
If it's not Odegaard, it's Eze. If it's not Eze, it's Odegaard. If it's not Saka, it's Madueke. If it's not Madueke, it's Saka. If Gokpo is out, if it's Trossard has been out,
Okay.
it might only come back. It's been all through, and maybe by the two midfielders, you know. And second thing, I think if you look at it like from Southampton away, all due respect, I think they've had a good cup run so far and they're a decent team, you know. But Arsenal should be winning the Sporting game. Obviously, is there probably one game that I would take any type of result, even a loss, probably 1-0 loss max, but a draw, as you saw against Leverkusen, isn't the worst result as we saw in other ties, you know, leaving the away leg with a draw or even a 1-0 win, I'll take. So
Yeah.
maybe I could change
Okay.
that to a draw, maybe expectation, but I think we can still go there and win. But, you know, but then I think who's that next? Bournemouth should be winning that game. I know they're an informed team, but that's one of the home games in the home stretches. There's nothing else that you should be doing but getting 3 points. The Sporting game at home should be winning and beating them to go to progress through. And then I think after that is the City game, and I can't lie, especially the reason especially that game, I'm marking on the calendar as a win. Not just because obviously maybe mathematically by that point maybe the league could be not done, but maybe we could be at a situation where it's basically done if we get the win. But also just given the way that they dominated us in that cup final, the way some of their players have been talking, you know, Semenyo talking afterwards about skinning Hincapié. Obviously, players normally talk about themselves playing good, but they never like mention a man by his name and kind of put it down. You know, Cherky talking about
What did
no,
Semenyo say?
it
I
wasn't
couldn't
like it
even see
was
that.
cause it was just like oh like obviously I was feeling myself. Obviously, I was able to skinning Cappy a couple of times, and obviously I felt like I could have the. I mean, that's fine. It's not like he said anything bad. Obviously, Turkey doing the kick ups in the game, feeling like he was comfortable to do it. Like I'm not even mad at him doing it. I was gonna say, I'm mad more at the fact that he felt comfortable to do that. Because even if he's winning
Yeah.
2-0, even if City are playing well, that the fact he felt like comfortable knowing there's no real pressure that these guys are shit about these guys are beaten. I mean, are beaten. I think we need to go there and beat them, and hopefully a little Ben White, little hard tackle on Cherky. Not foul, but a little, going up for a header, a little lean in with the elbow in the back of the head or something like that. Leave one on him, and then hopefully score and dunk on them because these man, like they need we need to
No.
beat them at their ground so they can just
No.
shut up. Do you know what I mean?
And to be honest, KP, we've been close for a few years now to beating Man City. We've been very, very close to beating Man City. I remember I would never forget the Trossard red card. That game we were 2-1 up. We were cruising in that game in the first half. We were the better team. We got a man sent off. We were trying to hold out for it in the second half. We didn't see it out. Ends up being a draw. And again, you're burning from that season before we went there. We've either got pumped or we've come out there with a draw. We've played for a draw, whatever the case, whatever you want to say. But I think this one on the calendar is marked for me as well, where you have to put that right. Like, I'm not saying you have to go and win 5-0 to put it right, or you have to go and win 3-0 to put it right, but I need to see a performance at least, and I want to win. Even if it's a hard win, go out. You have to go and show that you're able to rip it from them, or at least win back some pride for yourself. Because you can be a great team, but you still want to hang your hat on the fact that we also beat you, and there's shit you can say. Personally, that's how I want to feel.
And like this is the first obviously City. Yes, City haven't beaten us. So this is the first time they beaten us in any comp in
In
like
three
since
years,
the. So yeah, since like 3 years time, like it's not like they've been getting the better of us. Arsenal have probably won more game. Arsenal won more games in recent years than they won against us. And so if there's no element of we fear them or they got one up on us, and obviously there was more jeopardy because they were able to get some silverware with that
trophy,
win as
yeah.
well. But like I'm pretty sure if we win against them, and basically there's 1 point left to the title
Put the
or
sword
something
in
like
their
that.
back
Like,
of their
yeah.
throat.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, who's gonna be more happy about who won the trophy, who's winning and getting that dub? But that's obviously all dreams. Obviously, even if it's a draw, it's not mad. But I want us to go there and win, and I think we can.
Mm,
And I think hopefully there's a bit more lessons from this game in terms of both how they were pressing, but also how they are in possession, in terms of just settling the game, and not give anything away. And if we are able to even get up in the game, maybe we can be the same in terms of trying to control the possession and be composed, not rushing.
mhm.
Yeah, we'll see when we get there. But what about
And
you?
to take
Go on.
And I was gonna say to take the onus off of the City game. You were gonna ask me something about the City game, cause I might have transitioned
No, I
in
was
there a
gonna say,
little bit.
what was your predictions for these runner games? Do you see it as
I
gonna be
would okay,
pernicious?
okay, cool. I was gonna say, well, I'm confident we beat Southampton. I definitely think we beat Southampton. I do think we draw against Sporting. I'm very interested to see Victor Gyökeres's games against if he starts or even if he comes off the bench against Sporting. Former club, how do you play? They know you very well, or you know should know them very well. How do you get on? Does it affect you? Should be very interesting to see. The narratives will play out itself. Expecting big performances from Victor Gyökeres, especially with him scoring a hat trick today. Like I said, very well taken goals. The Honestly, I do think we win all these games. The City one, I'm kind of looking at a bit tricky. The Sporting one away, I'm calling the Bournemouth one. But with the Bournemouth one, for some reason, I'm just looking at it and saying, give me 3 points there. I just ease my nerves. So that's the first game back in the Premier League. They're coming off the back of Southampton, Sporting, both are away games, still after international break. Hopefully, there's no more injuries, and hopefully, we have guys in fit and ready to go. That's the first game back in the Premier League. I hope that there's not a drop in intensity saying, okay, let's manage ourselves through this game to get to the Champions League game, to get to the City game, because we have the points buffer of 9 points. So that Bournemouth one for me, I'm specifically looking at hoping that okay, like I'm not saying we're gonna lose, but I'm looking at it and saying that's it's scheduled particularly in a particular way that I think it's massive for us to get 3 points. So yeah, that's Bournemouth one is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most, but. I do agree that that Sporting game is massive for guys like Victor Gyökeres. And even if we do decide to do a little bit of rotation there as well, because again, it's Sporting and you do not want to lose that game. You obviously want to come away with a draw, but you still also, like I said, want to manage guys. We don't know how serious the Saliba knock is, even if it's just a strategic pullout, is how true is that. He's also having to deal with some injuries. Gabriel has had to deal with some injuries. Timber, we see how far, let's see how far along he is with his recovery. Ben White, he's just one come back from injury and he's going to international duty. And then the fact coming back, we don't know about Timber's levels. It's going to be really interesting to see how we manage these players, especially with every game carrying that much more weight to it. So for me, all these games are massive. I do think we win. How many did this did I put here? Out of 6 games, if you include the Newcastle one, I think we win 4. I think we win 4. I think we draw to Sporting away, and I think we potentially draw to City. That's my early predictions of what it is. Hopefully I'm wrong, but
Yeah,
I'll go
that's
4
that.
to 6.
The draws are realistic in terms of where they're coming and the results. I think, yeah, Southampton game there just should be most mass rotation to me.
Yeah.
Like rest rotation doesn't mean you're gonna start a weak squad. It just means you should, unless you're scared, maybe even the Marley Salmon comes in if Timber's not ready and you don't want to rush Ben White. But obviously, you see how much Ben White features for England if he features many at all. Um, and like your Skellies, your Norgars, your Diamonds, your Martinelli, Jesus, all these guys can be playing, and give the rest. Because yeah, if your Saliba and Gabriels are feeling a bit knocked, then that's not the game that you're bringing them back in. Sporting's the game, and I feel like no matter what context of what the game is, even if the Sporting game was in jeopardy, the Premier League's a priority. So if we
Yeah,
go to
I hear
Sporting
that.
at least 2-0, I don't want us to be rotating against Bournemouth to thinking, like we play against
We
Bournemouth, you
have to
win.
get.
And I don't
Yeah.
care if those same 11 players have to play against Sporting. You win as well if you've dug yourself a hole in 2-0. Because I feel like, like as you said, I'll take a draw, especially seeing how, like, yeah, just don't lose the away leg and knowing that you have the confidence of being at home, comfortability to go win. Then I think give yourselves an even chance. Yeah, they're in the game, but you're also very much in the game. I think if you go uh, open and try to kill the game in the first leg, sometimes it works. I've just seen against PSV, and you can end the tie in the first leg away and maybe give yourself that rest in that second leg, which is what I would want and prefer. But I also don't feel
Yeah.
like you should just go and open yourselves up and Sporting in that last home leg, 3-0 down, winning 5-0 shows that they're a good home team in it. So um, yeah, hopefully we just do our thing.
Hmm.
Shout out, obviously, is it Wad258? He said, Arsenal fan base bigger problem is hyping trash the whole time. Fair enough. He said, style of play is shocking. Time for Arteta to go. Team's good enough for another manager to come in and take us to the next level. So should he leave right now, midway through potentially, competing for the league, FA Cup, and champs, so that another manager
Winning potentially a
can
treble.
take his work over the
The
line, or do
treble.
you like? Do you know what I mean, are you saying even if he wins, um, it doesn't. You don't really care that you're gonna let him go, which is fair. I know a lot of fans are in that boat, but um, I do think Arsenal's play and style is intentional to try and
Mm.
make sure they minimize the margins of not losing, so that they can make sure they do win. Because as if I don't know if you're an Arsenal fan, would Wad 258, but everyone said this season has to be the season. We have to win. We must win. So we must win means win at any cost. So I don't think when now we're seeing what the cost is and we're winning, then it's like, oh, I don't like the way we win it. Because if we had played the champagne football and not won, you wouldn't have been like, oh, no, I enjoyed the season. We finished second. Do you know what I mean? So let's be a bit balanced when we say these things. How I say it is win, and next season the football must improve
Yeah.
because and I don't see how it won't, but it must. But yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
And when you talk about football must improve, KP, I do want to ask you a quick question because recently we've seen Kvaratskhelia links come out. First of all, do you believe these links, and do you think? I mean, there has to be some weight of truth to it. How much weight of truth to it? It might be just the player side. It might just be the fact that the player is interested, and maybe Arsenal are just interested. But do you see that transfer getting over the line? And obviously, I think we're both big fans of Kvara. You can let the people know what you think about him as well.
Um, I like the links first of all. Like it's the type of player that it's the type of player that Arsenal should be trying to go for and upgrade. Like especially if you're going to be potential Prem champions. Looking at you're one of the best team. You are one of the best teams in Europe. You're an attractive base. You know all your best players signed up to long term deals. You know young core. Do you know what I mean? All the beneficial things in it. Um, Would I think it will happen? Obviously, I don't know if it will happen because he's at PSG. Remember, he only signed there last January, so it's not
Yeah.
like it's not going to be. I'm pretty sure it's a long term deal. Pretty sure that he's not to say pushing for a move. So there's all those aspects, all those aspects to enable him to be. And obviously, if the report came out from Miguel Delaney, independent, which is like as is a reliable source, so it's not like he's just out of the blue. Um, just putting that out there. And I think if Arsenal, like last season when we were seeing, Gokeres news and Azuma Mendy and all these things, if we're seeing the kind of names now, those are the kind of names we want to see because I don't want to see a young player. I want to see us go for the best of the best. Um, we want to upgrade in our attacking line. We want upgrade in attacking quality, and these are the kind of players that we should be looking for. But we'll see if we do it. Obviously, I don't think it'll be easy, but I think we're already seeing the little feelers now and seeing the reports of like his agent or he might potentially be open to a move away from PSG. Um, Obviously, that doesn't come out just on about its own. That's agent talk and all that stuff. So, uh, what about you? And obviously, I kind of say I think what is an Arsenal fan, just from your comments, I can tell that you are an Arsenal fan, or if you're not, you care a lot about Arsenal. So,
Mhm.
uh,
But
the reason why they would is because Arsenal are one of the best teams in England, and Arsenal
that's
clearly have deficiencies in attack. Where if I'm a great attacking player, I'm not even. I know I can come here and potentially I'm going to be starting, not even just be a depth piece. If I'm one of the best in my position, and two, you have defenders like Saliba, Gabriel, there's DM like Rice, a keeper like Raya, knowing that you're going to always be in games as an attacker. Why would you not come to Arsenal? Like.
especially even for a side like Arsenal, who for their attacking deficiencies is still one of the best teams statistically in terms of goal scoring in the league, and one of the best teams in Europe. We're the third team to score over 100 goals in Europe's top five leagues. All these other teams that you think are playing swashbuckling football and scoring a lot of goals, they're clearly not scoring more than Arsenal, and that's down to whatever you want to say. But or they're not scoring more than us. So you have to give us that kind of credit. And I do think there's obviously, when you think about the London move, when you think about playing in the Premier League, the money he can earn, the draw of Arsenal is still a massive club around the world and it still has a massive pull. You don't know what kind of pre-allegiances. Maybe he's won it all PSG. He's still coming off the bench, even at PSG, being a top talent. Maybe he wants to go somewhere else and thrive somewhere else. So I do think you can't just sit here and say, why would a top attacker not want to play for Arsenal when Arsenal have clearly shown that their intent is to go out there and sign the best, especially under Andrea Berta. But he also says this comment here and says,
Now, before we get to the comments, what's your
okay,
opinion on the
Kavara,
Carabao news? Yeah, and
bro,
like,
I think naturally, if Kavara is the option, That's my number one priority this summer. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. If Kavara is an option on the market, you spend what you can and what you got to get Kavara Scalia to this team. That's just, I think, something that frees up Saka. Let's just say Saka is doubled up. You move the ball swiftly around and it ends up to to Kavara. You're gonna be able to shift defensive. It's gonna allow you to be fluid. The same fluidity I wanted to see in this attack this season. You have Kavara now. You have the option for Saka to really swap and play on the left, move to midfield, and still have maybe Kavara move into the 10. Maybe have the Eze play on the left. No, you can't pick up anyone's spacing. No, maybe you put Havertz in there. Maybe he drops in. And no, you have abundance of options. Or even if you have Gyökeres, maybe that's no more space for him, more creativity for him, more options for him, and you unlock him. And I think that is just the things I want to see. I do want to see us try to get more players to improve that KP because for time we've been saying Saka is the only killer in that squad. And what happens when Saka is not having a good year? Even though our attack statistically has been getting numbers, it's not doing what we know it can do, especially for the level we're reaching in terms of potentially being Premier League champions, challenging on all fronts. You want that team to be remembered better. You want that team to be remembered, even if we're a strong defensive team, you want to have that quality in attack that you look back on and say, man, you remember those days when we had Saka and Cavaro ripping the wing or Gyökeres bagging the goals or Havertz, you know what I'm saying? One of those guys to do something. So yeah, I do think Cavaro would be a lovely signing. Spend whatever you can to spend, and that's what I want to see. That's my main target for the summer if he becomes available.
Yeah, before we get into some comments, I think I agree with that point. Like, I think Arsenal have built the squad enough to where, like, for me, I'm okay with if you just get a left wing and a striker, and you figure out the other positions with what we have already, and some of the young depths and stuff. That's fine because sometimes you gotta do that. Obviously, I know there'll be sales because Arsenal are gonna have to sell players this
Yeah,
summer because we spend a lot of money, but which will be interesting to who we sell. But I think that's what I need. Just the level of quality to match the level of defense and to match, Saka. Like you want to go up against teams, and there's a fear already in terms of those professional players
yeah.
fearing those attackers. Like, "Oh, I know this. I rate this guy a lot. It's gonna be tough." The managers having that fear, and also fans having that fear because you feel that in and amongst stadiums when Arsenal on attack, when Arsenal are coming out and Arsenal are flowing. To get to some of this guy's comments. He says, obviously, we got Havertz, Trossard, Madueke, all trash. Obviously, so I guess that's an Arsenal fan. So you don't have to rate them, but I don't think they're trash. Um, you have to also remember that Arsenal built their squad from the back up, focusing more on defense to make sure that we're solid, which is the reason why we have the best defense and the reason why we're always in games. And I think I'm more preferring of that because it's harder to build a very good defense and defensive team, and it's easier to build a very good attack. Obviously, Arsenal haven't done that, which is why I can hear your comment. But this is why I'm here. This is like when you are the most attractive team that you've had this year, building up this core base of players. No one's really gonna be leaving of the keep group, and then you now having that you can only focus on the attack. For me, go buy the best in class nine, best in class left winger, and yeah, like see how it moves. Give Mikel all the tools. I'm saying it's not about no excuses. It's just more give the manager all the tools, especially if the manager that's going to potentially come to the line to see if he can reignite this attack. Because to this comment here, no, not this comment. I don't think Arsenal will sign a Garnacho, like not when
Nah,
you win the
no,
minute. So that's just
no.
you being
Especially not under. I mean, I
that's you.
can't see
That's just
Bertrand
you.
making that type of signing. I can't
And
see
that's just
Bertrand making
you
that type
being
of signing.
emotional because you don't like Mikel. Like Arsenal are at a different stage in 22-23 than they are now, in it. Like in terms of who they're gonna sign, the amount of money that they have, what they can attract, the wages that they're paying, all this stuff is different. Um, he said that we
Who
could have
knows? Maybe Mudrick is a different player if he plays on Arteta. Maybe that career goes totally different. You never know.
I don't even, and obviously that's that. That's the Modric. Well, I'm happy doing Sam Modric, but Modric is
Mm,
them times. That was still when
yeah.
Arsenal were now we're
Exactly.
known
Exactly.
entity and we're established. We can attract a different level of player. He said we could have Messiah. I think he's talking about Messi, Yamal, Mbappe. Attack will still sing. Arteta does not have to coach and attack. The pushback I'll say on
Yeah.
this, which obviously people, I think everyone's run with this narrative in it, and I understand it to an extent. But we've played some of our best football 22-23. I think we played some of our best football in 23-24, where we smashed all the attacking numbers. We were sending fans home at half time
Half
in
time.
so many games. And so I think it's a bit. it's a bit disingenuous when people say this. Like maybe you can say you don't know if these players will play to their maximum, given the way Mikel prioritizes defense and work rate over that. That's cool. But I think once you have those type of players, it changes how you are because if you're attracting those type of players, that means you're going to probably give more onus to, you know, the defense is going to handle their business, and I'm going to give the attack more freedom
I'm gonna get
because
the attack
those
more freedom. Yeah,
players have the quality to give them that kind of freedom, innit? Like you have to realize we don't. There's a reason why we defend a lot. I don't think our attack has the quality, ruthlessness that is necessary for a top of the league team, and the fact that we're still top of the league is more credited to the manager because if you're saying what that all the attackers we have are trash, you said Havertz, Madueke, Trossard, all trash, right? Is that what his words were?
yeah.
Um, so if all our attackers are trash, how are we top of the league then? Like that means either the manager is crap as well, and it is all on Saliba, Gabriel, and Raya, which is not, or somehow the manager is getting a tune out of this team to make us
Hmm.
make us the best team in the league, even though our attack is trash. So imagine giving the manager not trash attackers. Do
And
you know what I mean?
to even go further in that point, I think looking at a broader point, I think look at how football is this season. You see so many teams in this Premier League that you see Liverpool, who are known for their swashbuckling football. People were saying lauding Liverpool for attacking football last season. Look at their attacking football this season. Sometimes they couldn't hit a barn door against us. They literally didn't even against at the Emirates. They didn't even have a shot on target. So again, even in the first game, even though they showed a moment of quality, that was probably their biggest chance of the game. And that was from 40, or 30, 35 yards out, a worldy free kick. People, you laud these teams for attacking football, but they can get shut out. City against us, even yesterday, I mean, on Sunday, sorry. They didn't have many massive chances
We
created.
had
We
the better
just gave
chances
them the
on
goal. We
Sunday.
we had the
We had
better
the
chances.
three
We
better
just didn't.
chances.
And I think this is my thing. I think you improve that quality in attack, the numbers are already at a decent level, but they just go up. They start going up, like you said. You add better attackers to the quality. The quality goes up again. Obviously, we're talking about when we had Rob Holding, when the quality drop off, when Saliba got injured. Look at the quality drop off. We need the same thing now for the attack, which is why, and I said it earlier. Again, KP, very similar to you. I don't mind if we go get two, three attackers, a midfielder, just to give us some more rotation because I think we might sell Norgard and then maybe a defender to just to piece everything together, make sure
I don't.
everybody there
I
is
don't even
rotated.
think we need that big of a window, bro. Because I think
No,
that
I
costs.
don't think so. I don't think so, but
Do you
I
know why?
do
Do you
think
know
so
what?
with
Do you know why? Do
certain
you know why?
amount of guys. I think certain amount of guys might leave, which might cause us to have a
But do you know
window
why I
like
even
that.
say this? Like, for example, in it, like
Mm,
Norgard leaves, Lewis Kelly's a six,
okay.
Rice is a six, Zubimendi's a six. You don't
Okay.
need to buy another six because you
Hmm.
have Rice and Zubimendi. You got two different type of sixes. You got Lewis Kelly, who's a six in his own and that can play it. So instead of wasting money on whether that's another senior player that's going to be in and out or another player that is young,
We still
you
have
already have a
Moreno
young.
too.
You got a young DM there, and you got Ife Ibrahim. If you want to talk about even younger, kind of 18, 19 year
Yeah.
old DM. So I'm not really in the market of if you're seeing the amount of minutes no guards played. I would rather make Zubimendi and Rice sixes and compete for that 1-6 position. Use them in certain games together, but for the
Hmm.
most part, have them as the 2-6 steps. Like maybe one game Rice starts six, one game Zubimendi starts six, but um
Both of them together
not
next
both of
season.
them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
agree
then the
with that.
midfield,
I agree with
obviously,
that.
Odegaard's not going nowhere. Move Odegaard into the left eight as a that's his starting role. Have Lewis Skelly behind him as a second eight, and Marino, obviously, if he's back from his injury, as another piece there. And then you have like Eze, maybe Sako, or Eze Wanyeri as your tens, and then you can just like you can find solutions. Marley Simon is going to be 17. He looks like he's a player, like whether that's right back, whether that's centre back. That's another natural player that maybe can maybe not straight away next season, but that can be your fifth choice centre back, sixth choice centre back, maybe third choice right back. I'm okay with that if Van White in that stays. Calafiori and Capier left back. You know, them also has depth for left centre back. Saliba can play there. Mosquera can play in both positions. And you go on just because I'm like, you're gonna have to sell a couple of players. Maybe that's a
Yeah.
Jesus, maybe that's a Trossard Martinelli, maybe it might be a Ben White, maybe it might be a Norgard, Kepa, maybe. But Kepa Setford, can that be a natural replacement for
Yeah.
me? Possibly. Like I think you have to kind of look at situations and think because if a Craver, more than likely that's gonna cost you. I don't know how much PSG paid about 70 million for him,
70
60 million.
millions. And he's
Like
won a
that's probably gonna
Champions
put
League, won
if
probably
Arsenal are gonna
two
sign
treble
him
titles by
a
then.
year afterwards, it's probably gonna cost 80, 90 million, which I'm not. I don't mind Arsenal spending whatever money needs to buy to get upgrade that left winger.
Hey,
And then
100%.
if an Alvarez links are true, a Jesus goes. you know how much I need to upgrade in that position, and that's another like 90, 80 million. Like, that's already.
You splash the cash big on. You're saying
Yeah,
Cavaro,
I think
Alvarez,
you
based on the,
you
and then
already have defensive depth. Like you already have, and you have to realize all the defenders can play across the back line. Like none of those defenders, well, maybe Bar Saliba are just, yeah, maybe Bar Saliba and Gabriel are the only two that play in their position. Everyone else can kind of float in and around left back, left centre back, left right back and stuff. So you have depth if you're
Mhm.
looking at it in that way. Centre mids change the dynamic of how it looks. Instead of it being Zuma Mendy 6, Rice 8, make both of them sixes. That opens up another 8 position for Odegaard, Marino. Then that opens up the 10 for Ranieri. And then you have Diamond, who's going to be 1 year older, definitely part of the first team, who should be either second choice left right winger or first, third choice 10, something like that. I mean, like the options are there. And I don't see how, unless one of the left backs leave or Ben White leaves, then yeah, you get a fullback. But I think splash the cash on the areas that are priority and then focus
Mm.
on the other areas. Because I think if we're doing another summer like last year, we we're kind of spending 300 million in
Yeah,
like 5 positions. That means we're probably going to compromise some quality
yeah.
for some depth, and I don't think I want that.
I wanna ask KP. You talked about, because I do find, before I get into the more of the summer talk, I do hear you talking a lot about making Zubimendi and Rice fight for one position. And since the Wigan game, I've been saying, man, maybe we need just one, or maybe we need maybe just a different profile in alongside maybe a Rice and Zubimendi. Just give them something else. Have one or the other and give them something else alongside them. Do you see us doing that for the rest of the season? Do you think that change comes before the
No,
start of
no, no,
next
no.
season?
I think it can happen if, like, for example, if mathematically the league is wrapped, like we're champions officially, and there's like 3 games left, then I can see Mikel, especially if we're still in Champions League, FA Cup, Mikel kind of using those last 3 Premier League games. Maybe you see some Lewis Skelly start minutes in centre mid, and maybe Diamond might get a start, there, or I mean, maybe you see like it's one of those sixes used, and that type of, maybe Mikel will try some ideas for next year and stuff, but. Maybe Odegaard plays in the 8, and then Dama the sack. I don't know, whatever. But I think that will happen more in that context. But I think next
Mm,
season, the reason I say it is because majority of games that Arsenal will play, like I think we played on the margins this year to win, to get
mm,
that first one over the line. I
yeah,
think opening us up tactically and player wise, players themselves should be more confident in themselves. To like the defenders should be more confident in not making mistakes because
yeah. The
they've been there,
pressure is
done it.
off
Like
now after
yeah, like
that
there's
big
less
win.
pressure. Like I don't think anyone should be expecting Arsenal to go back to back. We should want us to do it, but to say defining us saying, "No, if you don't win the league this year, you're crap," is kind of crazy because teams rarely go back to back unless you're a City or United in previous years, isn't it? So I think play with more freedom, enjoy the football, enjoy the fact that you are champs, enjoy the fact that you don't have to put all that pressure on getting that first one over the line. The fans are not going to be so tense. Like I'm pretty sure Arsenal fans are still going to be celebrating into next season once we win. Like it will be on that euphoria. I mean, so play
Mm,
on that euphoria, and I think that comes from playing more open. I think there will be games where, like, if still going Anfield, they're still going Etihad, they're still going Stamford Bridge. I don't mind seeing a Rice Supermendi double pivot, 110. That works for me still. But if we're playing,
mm.
the home games against anyone else, I think I want to see 1-6. Whatever the choice is, it's fine. And you
Okay,
kind of use more attack. It might be, it doesn't mean you're going to play Eze and Saka. It might be Odegaard Eze. It might be Odegaard Waneri. It might be Lewis Skelly Saka. Do you know what I mean? It might be Lewis Skelly Eze. Like that's what I want to see, where it's kind of more natural players in natural positions,
yeah.
and then how does that move forward in terms of how the football we play in it. So
Yeah, and I do think, to add to that, I think you can maybe see it towards the end of the season, maybe like you said, wrapping up the league early. And I do think maybe that has a knock-on effect. Let's just say you wrap up the league early, maybe you try different stuff in the Premier League and think, raw, you know what? This actually works. Let me try it in Europe. And then against Barcelona or potentially against Atletico, if you need something, maybe open up a game. Maybe you have another tactic to go to. Maybe that is a muzzle with Skelly, who's against Atletico has already shown this season that his ball carrying ability was crucial in that match. So maybe that is something that we go back to again. And I think the biggest thing Arsenal fans are looking to, I think one of the biggest solutions we're kind of pinpointing that we haven't seen this season is probably that Miles into midfield. Because we know he has so many of the abilities that I think if you just add it alongside someone else, it just changes the dynamic of
I
how
think
we build up and how we play.
I think
And
he
and
adds
and
so
not to
much.
cut you,
Go on, sorry.
not to cut you, I think him having played alongside a Gabriel and Saliba at the back end of a season already in his young career. Gabriel said it already. I trust Miles Lewis-Skelly. So those balls that we saw in the cup final that he was probably forcing and it was going to no one. Miles understands which pockets to be in for those passes. He understands where to be for those passes
and he
naturally. And then
demands
you've
the
already
ball.
played with him and he demands the ball. So you give him that no,
Yeah.
and that's someone who's comfortable taking it, turning, beating two,
I
three
think we
man,
I
and
think
then
we can
opening
all
the
see
game
that
up.
Miles is a centre mid. Like he played
Yeah.
left back because Calafiori was injured. Tierney had kind of lost his trustworthy way, like his way of being in the team. And end of the day, yeah, we had a left-footed player who has robustness about himself and had an opening to get first team minutes where he wouldn't have got first team minutes because we had so many midfielders ahead of him in the pecking order, especially the fact we signed Marino. I think he's not played this season because obviously you manage a young player's expectations. He just played the same thing with Ranieri. This is their first team football in any kind of sense, and they're playing at the top level. But if he's moving back into midfield after adjusting to playing a new position, the information he's taken in at left back is different. And I think this season, if you look at Mao's body composition, even if you go look at some of the under 21 pictures now, he looks way bigger, way more muscly. Obviously, he always has that genetic build, but he looks way more that he's put on a lot more. He looks ready for it. And I think we're unlucky to not see him play there against Wigan when I think it was Calafiori that got injured and he had to get moved to left back. I think then he was unlucky to be suspended against Mansfield. Pretty sure would have seen him in there.
Oh,
Which is
yes,
that
that's true.
Southampton game.
Wow.
Southampton game, he will
Super
play in that
unlucky.
midfield for sure, and I can put my money on that. Unless, yeah, I can put money on that, and I think when he plays, I think he has something that we miss. Like we need Lewis Kelly in that midfield. I don't know if he long term in terms of moving on to next season, he end up being he'll. I think he's the kind of player that will end up pushing and demanding that left eight position being his own because
But
he has intangibles like receiving the ball under
mm,
pressure in all phases. Like you can see it off the keeper. Has that drop of the shoulder or ability to kind of roll the ball and roll a defender behind him. Then
mm,
has that strong, legs to carry the ball. Then can also slide a pass through those lines very, very well, whether that's just to another player or through to a player in behind, as we've seen him do to Martinelli many a time. And I think that is necessary because that alone can just open up a game. I also could be playing bad with Lewis Kelly, drops the shoulder, carries a Martinelli or Gokares or somebody runs off the channel, slips off the defender, a little slide through pass, and there's a goal. And that just come from maybe two passes. And I think no one else in our team, even Rice, who can carry, very long. I don't think he carries in a similar way and then has that final third impact in terms of a passing sense that even the Miles has. So
and
I
and
think
again, I think before I transition from there, I think even to touch on Miles' skills, if you remember the Eze's Port Vale goal, him being in and around the box, he still has an understanding. If you look back at that Man City goal from last season, cut inside, good finish off the post. Like I said, the reminder of the Port Vale goal, he gets played the ball, he dummies it, Eze finds it on the edge of the box, he buries it. Again, you look at the Brighton goal we scored, Moreno with a lovely back heel, him first time ball from playing left back was a lovely cross into Waneri who picks up, who finishes it on the edge of the box. They also have an understanding when they come together and I want to see more of that next season. But I do think, like you said, KP, Lewis Kelly has a lot of intangibles that this Arsenal squad is desperate for. But sadly, the only way he's going to be able to show that and prove and earn those minutes is on the pitch. And again, seniority and how this season has gone is the fact that Mikel Arteta has awarded seniority because every game is so massive for him to get the 3 points or to get the result, to get us advanced further and to win something. So yeah, I'm a little bit gutted for Miles, but again, he's a young player. He will understand, and I do think next season him and Waneri will have a place in this team,
which is why like I
and
don't
they will
even
want to
obviously
go
seen all the
forward.
rumors coming out today about the United stuff. It's just all probably agent. It's just nonsense. Like because he
Yeah,
signed a 5 year deal last summer. Saying Ranieri, them man are Arsenal boys through and through. They're gonna be part of the team that wins the league. They're gonna have it, and they're gonna get a trophy because they've been a medal because they've been part of it. And like you have to realize they're still teens. Like they're gonna know in a year or 2 years time, there's gonna be an open space for you in your natural position for you to either be first or second choice in the team that is your team. Like you see in a lot of teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, a lot of players wait their time. Like naturally, you have to wait for a natural cause.
yeah,
Like I'm pretty sure all those midfielders when they were looking at Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, thinking how am I going to get in? But when those players get to the older end and they peel off, there's a whole fresh. The same thing with your older guards, your Rices. That was meant to be a different extent. Like with your
yeah.
Marinos and all guys in a year's time they don't go this summer, they'll probably definitely be gone next summer. And that opens up the space. Like Odegaard, maybe you make another
Hmm.
big sell or someone like that, and then you open up the space. Like I think those players are gonna have their say and their part, obviously, in terms of their Arsenal future. We just got to be patient. I think it's annoying
Yeah,
because we do know how much these
they
guys
could
will add to
bring.
the team, but
Yeah,
at the same time, we're where we're at the moment. So there's not really. I don't really have much to be. Oh, because if we then drop off, then I'll be. Oh, maybe this player could be. But we are so far. It should be like a close win in that league. Champions League and all that stuff. And these guys, and well, at least in the Miles' sense, he can still have a part to play. Obviously, before we transition to that last part, I just want to get this start this. Flabery says, I've seen a lot of defense of
yes,
Saka
I did want
posts.
to get to this
I've
comment.
seen a
Thank you
lot
for
of defense
starting
of
it.
Saka posts and content recently. Have you guys seen it? What are my thoughts on Saka currently? Yeah, I've seen a lot of it, and that's what should be done. And like I think anybody that's not defending Saka is a fool. And at me, whether you want to, I have Twitter, go jump in my DMs, we can have a debate. I have Instagram, same thing, we can debate. Let's see it like this, yeah. Saka's been a player that's carried Arsenal from when we were shit, constantly performing when he was a team, a player that didn't have any expectation, carrying big men, big men, big international players that were earning money off our payroll doing niche. He's been there, and probably he's the only player with Martinelli, and but even different because he's been the star that
Hmm.
has been in all the
And
iterations of
stepped up
Arsenal,
season after season after season, numbers
all the
wise,
iterations of
performance
Arsenal.
wise.
When we've gone from eighth place to fifth place, from Europa League to Champions League to competing to competing to competing. Yes, he's put pen to paper for 300 bags a week. Yes, he's our franchise player. Yes, he needs to perform every week, every game. He needs to be the one at least that takes that onus in the attack. Yes, he hasn't scored enough goals. Yes, he played poor against Leverkusen. Yes, he hasn't scored an assist in every single game since he put pen to paper. But my oh my, let's not be so damn foolish. The guy had a hamstring injury last season. He done surgery. Someone like Kai done a similar injury 4 or 5 weeks afterwards. He suffered to kind of get his full fitness. Saka's played. He's been in and out of the team this
She
year.
had two hamstring injuries on both hamstrings. Had one at the start
You
of this
can
season.
there you go. You can visually see he looks like there's a bit of a burst of pace and power that he's kind of lost, like been up and down because he's been at points this season where he has shown it. At some point that right now he looks like he's not like in his sharpest. Obviously, it's possible for a player who's never had a bad period, let alone bad form, let alone anything. Do you know what I mean? Like in his whole tenure, compared to whether that's Arsenal players, whether that's other players you want to compare in his like position or age range in and around England that have had poor periods. Cole Palmer's been dead for 18 months. Like we can talk about other players. Foden's been disparate, been injured and on the
Two
bench for how
seasons.
long? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even trying to compare them. So I'm saying, but you'll still see those fan bases go miles and beyond to defend
To
those
defend their
guys.
guy.
So
Mm.
why, as an Arsenal fan base, the hell are you not getting behind the guy that is the guy? Yes, he's the
Mm.
franchise player. Don't get blind. I'm not saying that I don't criticize him and don't hold him accountable because he or don't judge him with the expectation, but also be real. Like for me, he's still been very, very good this season. He hasn't got the output, and he looks like give him that grace. If he comes back next season fresh, obviously, hopefully no injuries from the World Cup and fresh, and Premier League champ, I'm pretty sure he'll be back to his best. Like but supporting them and defending them is what you should do to your players, especially where we're at the top, because the media wants to chew up our
They
players.
wants to,
And,
yeah.
and, like we can have internal conversations. Yes, Saka needs to raise his level. Yes, he can do more. Yes, I want to see better quality. I want to see less block shots. I want to see all that stuff. We know Saka's capabilities. So the first blip in his form. Sorry for me going a bit long-winded, Steph, but
No, 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 you're
it,
good, bro.
it doesn't need it needs to be given with some perspective, some clarity, and I think you have to defend your best player because ultimately you want him to return to playing to his highest level, which is going to only affect our team. Like,
Hmm.
but the context is there. If he didn't have no injuries, all of a sudden he just dropped off, and don't ever forget what Bukayo Saka was looking like last season before that injury against Palace.
Before that,
Don't
yo,
ever forget and forget. I'm not even talking numbers. I'm talking about performances. So give players that grace. Like how many players come back from a surgery, that type of major injury, and then they're just back to themselves. Some players do, but in the history of sports, you can probably name 10, 20 players out of millions that come back and they're not the same straight away. So you've got to have that patience. Now, does he in this running, do I want to see him take more emphasis, score more goals, be more decisive, show a bit more quality? Yes. But am I going to grit onto him when he doesn't have his greatest game? Yes. in the moment, but not to us. Some oh he's falling off. What happened? Oh, you're a £300 player. I've seen so much. Oh, you're a 300k player now. So that's gone from the Saka that's been. You deserve more, Arsenal fans in 2019. He's telling us what we deserve. To now you're telling him what you should be giving us. Shut the fuck up with that shit, man. Sorry for my
Nah,
language.
nah, bro. But you make a really good point, and I do want to say this. Up until that first injury, like you said, that hamstring injury, KP, his numbers were getting better and better every single year. And if you want to do that, look again. He tied the record for the most assists to start the Premier League season. He was the first player in Europe's top five leagues to get double-digit assists. He before the season before that, he had 30 plus GA. He was on average to get the 40 GA. We predicted him at the start of the season for him to get. And his performances, like you said, KP, were showing that. And even this season, you could look at the stats and say you want him to get better GA, but he didn't get an assist against Tottenham on the stat sheet. He didn't get an assist in some of these other games where he had maybe the pre-assist on the
Fulham,
stat
Wolves at
sheet.
home. Yeah, those
So
games. Yeah.
there have been a lot of games where Saka was the difference maker, but it doesn't go down in a goal or an assist. And I think when you look at in a comparison, I'm not saying I'm comparing him to him fully, but when you look at a player that's a Premier League great in a Mohamed Salah, he would sometimes performance not be the best, but he would pop up with the moment and it would potentially go down on GA. That Saka, that's also Saka. Saka pops up with moments for the Arsenal consistently. And even in this season, where you could say he's had bad moments, he's pulled us out of performances before. He was the difference maker, like you said, against Fulham, Chelsea, Wolves. You can go down the list. Tottenham, he got the open, he helped, got the nearly got the assist for the opening goal. He's had massive moments against scored against Wolves away his first game back, scored against Brighton in the 1-0 win in a game where we were not good at all. He had the difference. So criticize Saka, like I said, the same thing goes for a guy like Odegaard. These guys, yes, they might not be pulling up trees and having their best statistical seasons, but overall, when you look at their body of work and you honestly judge it, they're not great seasons, but they're having decent enough seasons and they're helping us take us to that level that we need to get to in terms of winning by any means necessary. So
Yeah.
you have to give the guys credit, man. You have to give
And
them
obviously,
some form of credit.
Flabbery, I'm not directing that energy at you. I know you're just asking
Yeah,
a
yeah,
question,
yeah, yeah,
which is
yeah. Of
good.
course.
And I've we spoke, so I know how you all kind of fan you are. But I'm just more like, um, his first, like this is his first blip in form, like in
Yeah.
7 years. Like if a man has been that consistent, like if you've had something
And
that
and
consistent, if your
and
car has
why
been
the
if
hate
your
is
car's been
coming.
running smooth for 7 years,
Mm,
then it starts to have a bit of engine problems. You're not gonna just say I'm gonna sell this car straight away. You're gonna
mm,
be a bit patient with it, saying, "Do you know what, you've done your work. Let me see if I take it to the mechanic, see if it's just a little change of engine or something, and get it going." Like it's one of those. Like, he's had an injury. He looks like he's lost a bit of burst, which is key in Saka's game. That little burst, that quick explosiveness, that little strength. I don't know why. Maybe he's fatigued. Oh, who knows? Only Saka will know, and the Arsenal will know. But
but I
I
think
think
why that is the case though, KP, is because that, like you said before, it's his first blip in 7 odd plus years. There was no way fans could really give their dig at Saka bar and just a trophy argument. That's the only way they were getting around him. No, he's had his first blip of form. There's no probably way you're hearing conversations about Saka not reaching the level. But before, when he was compared to, like you said, other guys that might be in and around England in his age profile or position profile, he was putting up GA and performances to match those guys and consistently be the standard and the measuring stick for guys across, especially in that England team. He's in the England leadership group right now. He's played at many major tournaments and probably one of the first names on the team sheet and the squad sheet
he's
every single
England's best
time.
player. He's England's
So
most consistent player every single tournament, every single time. I think that takes a toll on your body, innit? You just have to be a bit patient with him. Like, I think
yeah,
it sounds mad because he's 300k, but I think if there's he's not a 300 player that we signed from a different team and he's 300k. He's a homegrown player that's got himself to 300k a week. He didn't earn that through crook. He earned that through merit. So I think it's a bit different how you approach that 300k captain kind of thing because he is one of our own. Like he's
mhm,
literally, if any of us imagine any of us grinding through Arsenal and then getting to being our best player to where you then deserve that, highest wages in the team. Yes, the expectation is high, but you also have to give grace, especially if he's performed so amazing. Like if he continues this form to end the season and then starts next season, then maybe we can start really having a conversation. Or if in World Cup in England as well, he looks off it as well, and other players step up. I'm not saying that he looks off it. I'm not saying if he doesn't step up, then I don't think. I think it's just. I think people
and
should
that's
defend him.
and that's not the type of character he is. Because even in his poor form, you can still see he wants to try to take games by the scruff of the neck. Sometimes it might not come off, and that's sometimes what being an attacker is. So sometimes everything you might try might just not come off that day, and sometimes you have a Leverkusen game, but sometimes you have those other games where you just turn up a moment of magic and you're the difference maker. So that's what you have, and that's what you pay him the big bucks for. But again, okay, I agree with you 100% in everything you were saying, bro. I need to see some goals in this. I would like to see some goals and assists to end the season. But I do think from next season, hopefully he stays fit, hopefully he picks up the reps in his legs. But I do think Saka is a player that if anyone in this Arsenal squad deserves some grace, it would be Saka at this
And,
moment in time.
and obviously, like I think also like it's been difficult for him not having that. You know, I think naturally now if Odegaard comes back, Ben White has been in the team. Maybe you start seeing him flowing again of that players who understand all understand each other, all have
Mm.
that chemistry, and give him the
Suit
ball
his
in
play style.
areas and in ways that he utilizes and opens him up and allows him to get more actions. And if he does play in the midfield or plays in the 10 and he's given more license to roam around, then you see him getting more touches, having more influence, like not just getting pinned out onto the right. And if Arsenal are able to get progress the ball, like you see him dropping deeper, and, maybe there's more different ways you see him influence the game. Like, so I think as he says here, like let rest the. But I think obviously that will come end of the season. Hopefully, World Cup he's able to rotate a lot. But I think if we're able to wrap up the league, then maybe those games that towards the end he doesn't play as much or doesn't start all those games unless maybe he
Mhm.
wants to get some goals and stuff. But yeah, um,
Yeah. Anything else, KP, you want before we play our massive game? People, don't forget to. We haven't asked you for the likes. People, we've been very conservative with asking, but you've been showing love. You've been active. You've been staying around. We've had a pretty consistent, steady audience tonight. We're here at this kind of slot around every Thursday, around the 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UK time. We're always here in this slot, people. So smash the like button, hit the like button, follow and subscribe on both channels. Follow our Instagram link in the description below. Show love to both channels, people. Like I said, we're here in this slot all the time. And if you're here and keep supporting, show us in the comment section down below. Hit the like down below. KP, before we move on to this engaging segment, I want the fans to be in. Anything else you want to say before we transition?
no, go straight in, man. It's getting a bit late. It's
All
bit.
right, people, let's get straight into it. Start, sub, sell. First of all, KP, I've been asking a lot of people this, but I think this is probably one of the most interesting ones I've done in a very long time. A lot of people have mixed emotions about this. David Raya, Thibaut Courtois, Gianluigi Donnarumma, start, sub, sell. What's your thoughts there and why?
Say again.
Raya, Courtois, Donnarumma. Start, sub, sell, and why?
Um, Start Courtois, bench Raya, sell Donnarumma.
Mm.
Courtois, because I think he's one of the best goalkeepers of all time.
Okay,
Tall,
so
very
you
tall
do
keeper,
agree with one of my boys. One of my
very
boys did
tall
say
keeper,
that.
very tall keeper. Has been consistent for very long time, playing at the highest level. With Atletico, Chelsea, and then obviously now Madrid. Um, got that cross claiming quality that Riot also has as well, but less Boza James moments. You have to remember this in that first leg against Real Madrid, he probably did save them from getting even a pummeling, even though they lost 3-0.
Bro.
He's a great keeper, man. Raya will get Raya. I would bench Raya in front of and not sell him in front of Donnarumma, even though Donnarumma has done it at a higher level, both internationally for Italy and for
For
PSG. Obviously, last
PSG,
year
yeah.
and everything. I think Raya's a better keeper in terms of his cross claiming, in terms of his distribution. I think it's by miles. I think Donnarumma probably is a way better shot stopper in terms of pulling off them when he's in form, can pull off some very mad mistakes. I think it is always a very big favour to tall keepers. They can pull off some mad saves. But
Mm,
I think Raya's a better keeper right now and been the more consistent keeper um, for me um, in the last couple of years. And yeah, like I think obviously but he's just not better than Courtois. So I
yeah.
think that's what about you? What's your order? And what's your order for that?
Honestly, bro, I've been sitting with the fact that I don't know if I want to go with it based on legacy, because again, you have to be fair to a guy like Raya. I think for me, I'd probably start Raya, sub Courtois, and sell Donnarumma. And that's people will say that's bias, you're going off the top. But for me, currently playing football at the moment right now, overall, David Raya is the best goalkeeper. And I've been singing David Raya's praises of being one of the best goalkeepers. This is not just me starting new hype. I said 24, 25 at the start of that season, David Raya will be our unsung hero. He turned out to be an unsung hero. This season, again, he's probably one of our top three players of the season. His shot saving ability, the shot save catalog for his Arsenal career alone, if you have it on tape, it doesn't even make sense some of the saves this brother is making, brother. Like one-handed saves, double saves, penalty saves, getting back up, saves off the post, snatching the ball from through his legs, clawing the ball out the net. Distribution, the passing. We saw the difference between Araya and Kepa at the cup final. We saw the cross-killing ability. That was probably one of the biggest factors in it. You could argue the Bozo gene. One thing you could say, Thibaut Courtois had that period maybe before, even as good years at Chelsea. But obviously, the more he goes on, the more he developed, the more senior keeper he became. And give Courtois credit. Some of the stats, some of the numbers, his career longevity, his shot saving ability at Real Madrid, even in prior years, is impeccable. But if we're talking current moment for me, and if we talk about also glory, I think once the glory comes for a guy like Raya, his name will start to get put in different conversations. Once that Premier League comes, whatever other cups we would potentially win from here on out, again at the Euros, he should have been for me their starting goalkeeper for Spain. Obviously, they go seniority in that position. That's how they foster who's the next goalkeeper. I think first of all, Raya and Joan Garcia are better than a who's the guy that plays for them that plays for Bilbao? What's that guy's name?
Simon.
Simon, Unai Simon. I think they're both better than the Unai Simon, but he's the captain. He's the guy that gets seniority. So again, Raya won the Euros, but he wasn't the starter. I do think even if you start Raya, they still win the Euros, and it looks different on the CV, similar to Donnarumma, who also has the Euros and won man of the match. Give him his credit. But I do think overall, as a goalkeeper, I would probably edge out Raya currently at the moment in terms of him being at his peak compared to a Courtois. And then I think probably Donnarumma is unfortunately sold for me. That's how I probably
Nah,
rank them up.
I hear you. I don't know. I don't think Raya is the best keeper in the world though.
Okay.
Um, but it's
Okay.
I love Raya. I
So
think
so you would say Courtois is the best keeper in the world, or
Courtois
is
is
there
better than
somebody else?
Raya. I think also it pays into play. Like obviously Raya's this is Raya's first big club. Whether that's his
Mm,
fault, not his fault. Obviously Brentford, Blackburn. Courtois has
yeah.
been playing at big clubs from
Yeah.
the moment he was young, like
He's touched
19.
football. Yeah. Yeah.
Chelsea on loan at Atletico was their best keeper. Came back at Chelsea for a couple of years, done what he done. Then he's been at Real Madrid ever since, and
Yeah.
so he's been a big club.
Almost almost a decade out, more than a decade at Real Madrid nearly by now.
Do you know what I mean
That's
he's been a
crazy.
big club? He's been a big club player from young. Same thing with Donnarumma
Yeah.
as well. AC Milan's keeper,
AC
then
Milan,
PSG
yeah.
straight.
Then
So
PSG, then
like, there's a
City.
bit
Yeah.
more element and concept to that. They've been the number one for their country as well for a long time. Both of them, which obviously plays into expectation. But yeah, and I can't lie to you, man. That Joan Garcia guy, I think he's better than Raya.
Joan Garcia is a different is quality
And hear
goalkeeper.
me out in it. Like, obviously, he's younger.
Okay.
Raya's better now. I think I
We
even
were
see,
looking at
think
him too.
I even think João Garcia recently in the Spain's press conference, he said something like, I think Raya is the best keeper in the
Raya.
world.
Yeah.
He said that himself. But that João Garcia is the devil. Like when I say like he's like an El Diablo. That guy makes like Raya makes saves Raya shouldn't make. Like and it's amazing. But Garcia makes saves no keeper should make. Like no person should make. And with the way that Barca play, with the high line, the amount of chances they
Give
concede,
up.
the saves that he makes, yeah, is the reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, fun enough, if Edu had done his thing, we would have had both. And I think Raya would have had a real
Imagine.
run for his money because that guy doesn't look like a number two. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that obviously, I'm not saying right now. It goes the same thing with accolades. Obviously, yeah, maybe Barcelona going to win the La Liga this season. He will get that on his belt. It's his first season in a big club, so those things count. I'm not saying he's better than Raya right now, but if
I'm
I'm
very
looking at
interested to see what
like the
Spain
same
do
way,
in that
like
goalkeeping
Lamine
position.
Yamal, I would say is the best player in the world right now. But if Messi's still playing football right now, Neymar's still playing football right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, they're on the older end, but like they're still there. But he definitely a couple more years it's going to be undeniable, and I think maybe Joan Garcia might be one of those as well because he's still very very young, right? Was he like
Yeah, yeah.
21, 22?
23, 22, 23,
Yeah.
probably about
So,
21, 22.
but yeah,
But and
but
I
okay,
think
cool.
the unfortunate thing is just with that senior, which is why I said I think I'm very interested to see what they do Spain wise because okay, you could argue Unai Simon the leadership. He's been there for a while. He waited his turn. He got his moment in the sun, whatever the case may be. I think genuinely no, if I was a Spanish national team fan, I'm looking at that team saying we have two of the arguably best goalkeepers in the world, or definitely top five. You can make the argument for two of them out of five. one of them for me, if I was a Spain fan, has to be playing. In respect to Unai Simon, he does well for Spain. He doesn't cost them games. He gives them what he gives them. He's a good guy to the group. But when you're talking about the best in class and having the best, you want to give a guy like that. But we've seen keepers fall to not having that opportunity. Manuel Neuer and Ter Stegen just being one of them in recent history. But big up Nancy Yearwood, one of my former teachers. Big up Nancy every single time. Loving the
Shout,
conversation and learning so much about the game. And this is what we plan to do. And this is a perfect one to comment to have before we end the stream. People, like I said, if you don't know us, if your first time here, we have this slot on Thursdays every single week. Come and show your support, learn about the game, have conversations. We talk about so many different topics and even end the streams on a nice start, sub, sell. So get involved, people, in the comment section down below. Who you start, who you sub, who you sell. Check out both of our channels. Subscribe to our Instagrams in the description down below. KP, is there anything you want to end on? Any controversial takes, any hot takes you have? Anything before we head out?
mm, obviously, shout out Nancy. Nah, man, I don't. I'm not. I don't need to. It's an international break, man. Like after, just make sure no one should come back injured, and we could focus on Southampton next week,
Amen.
man. Like it's our last pause before the end of the season, so like I'm gonna use the pause well to kind of
Hmm.
also, yeah, there's always, I'm happy that there's gonna be no nonsense narratives and takes coming out throughout this week, so just gotta get through it. Shout out Nancy, shout out obviously FC Away, shout out Flybury, shout out Wad258, and anyone else that's been watching with us, just silent watchers, just enjoying the conversation, supporting us. Make sure everyone smashes that like button. Go over to both channels, and if you're tuning in from my channel, go over to Gunner Street, go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already, and if you're tuning in from Gunner Street, go over to my channel, hit the subscribe button. As you said, go on Instagram, TikTok, follow us on those platforms to see obviously other short form content. And yeah, this slot, as you said, every week we'll be here again next week Thursday for looking over to that Southampton game and previewing that, hopefully looking to get back into our winning ways after our fourth loss of the season. Mad to say that.
Chai. Fourth loss of the season, four losses in March. That's a lot, KP. You think
Four
so?
losses, all seasons, crazy still.
Four
So
losses all season. You think that's a lot, KP?
mm, no chance, man. No chance it being a lot. But yeah, man. Appreciate everyone tuning in with us. Obviously, it's almost midnight UK time. I'm going to sleep. Tell you that for free. I'm going to sleep. But
Hmm.
yeah, man. Big everyone up. Obviously.
And they kicked me out because they know I was chatting rubbish, bro.
So before this guy goes on a tangent, fam,
Before they start chatting rubbish,
let's
let me
get
just
him
end
out
this
of
stream, people. Love for the love. You know how it is. Thank you guys for support. See you later.
it.